Today we're focusing on cinnamon fragrances, perfumes that either feature the cinnamon note or have a spicier accord to them. I have 5 options to share with you, and they all range from super affordable, like $20, to above the $100 mark. We have designers, we have niche, we have affordable options. There is a lot to cover, so if you're interested, definitely keep on watching. But if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. My name is Anya. I love fragrances and I love talking about them. So if you are interested, I post on this YouTube channel every single Wednesday, along with a ton of bonus content in between. And I also have an Instagram and a TikTok on which I post several times a day. So with that being said, let's hop right on into it with a fragrance that is one of my favorite designer perfumes of all time, and it also happens to be one of my favorite Mugler fragrances. This is Alien Fusion, and here's a little bit of a backstory in terms of the cinnamon note when it comes to my experience. I have not always liked cinnamon. Sometimes cinnamon can lean a little bit abrasive to me. I have had and reviewed a lot of cinnamon fragrances in the past, but now I've started to get a lot more picky about the cinnamon fragrances that I actually use on a regular basis. So Alien Fusion is definitely a little bit of a softer take on the cinnamon note. The hero note here is definitely the tuberose with a bit of an ambery background. I think there is sandalwood here as well. And the cinnamon acts as more of an accent, so it's not dominant here. It's definitely a softer, spicier fragrance. It's a very warm perfume. It's just a really wonderful take on the original Alien fragrance. So when Alien is more focused on the jasmine, this I do believe also contains jasmine, but they really amped up an additional tuberose note here with that cinnamon and that sandalwood. So it's just a very nice, different take, like a warmer, spicier take on the original Alien. And I really, really like it. So Alien Fusion, the bottle is everything to me. I absolutely love the way this one looks. It's just a beautiful red jewel, in my opinion. It's absolutely stunning. So yes, if you want something a little bit softer, spicy, but still with a little bit of cinnamon, if you're maybe sensitive to cinnamon and you want something that's a little bit more floral, but that doesn't have an overpowering cinnamon note, this is one to consider. Actually, now I checked the scent pyramid for Alien Fusion. They don't have any jasmine in here. They list the note of orange blossom and tuberose. So yeah, no jasmine here, but it does have a similar DNA to the original Alien, but it's very different. So it's a soft, spicier version of the original Alien. Sometimes I like this one better than the original. Sometimes I like the original better than this one, but it's definitely a really pretty fragrance and I quite adore it. Next, let's talk about something that's warm, cozy, a little bit spicier with some incense, oud. I'm referring to San Noir by Pascal Morabito. This is a fragrance that combines the notes of apple, oud, cinnamon. So this comes off very much like a spiced apple. A very spiced apple, maybe with a lot of incense and smoke around it. It's a very interesting fragrance, quite pretty. I would say we are reaching the tail end of the winter. This is the fragrance to wear around this time while you still can, because once it gets really, really warm and hot out, this is not the fragrance to me. This is a very intense and cozy perfume. It's absolutely gorgeous in the wintertime. The cinnamon here definitely takes more of a prominent stance, and I just love it combined with the apple. It's not a sweet fragrance by any means. It's very smoky, it's very spicy. You have that oud. It's a very amber-driven perfume. So yeah, and I do think this is unisex. I mean, obviously, fragrance in my mind can be worn by whoever, however you want to wear it, but this would smell amazing on man, woman, anyone, in my opinion. San Noir, and it's also quite affordable. I believe you can find this for about $20 to $30. I have it on my Amazon storefront, so if you love gourmand perfumes, or if you want to get introduced to gourmand perfumes and you might tend to lean towards more spicier, woody fragrances, this would be a good step to trying a gourmand fragrance without necessarily going for the hyper sweet perfumes. This one's really nice. I really, really like it. Next, I have a fragrance by Lattafa. When I was preparing for this video, I picked this one up assuming it had cinnamon because to me this leans similar to the cinnamon note. It's a very spicy perfume. It has oud. It's a sweet fragrance. I'm referring to Ragba by Lattafa. This doesn't have cinnamon listed in the scent pyramid, but it does have notes of vanilla, sugar, oud, incense, sandalwood, and musk. And to me, this does have a spiciness that leans very adjacent to cinnamon. So I consider this a spicy cinnamon perfume. You might have a different interpretation of it. Nonetheless, this is a good starter fragrance if you want a sweet, resinous oud fragrance that also leans spicy. I consider this a cinnamon perfume. I think this was the first or one of the first spicy, sweet fragrances I introduced in my collection. And it definitely was an interesting fragrance to wear. It's a very cozy scent. Now I hardly ever wear it because, to be quite honest, I have another fragrance coming up that to me is a more refined, niche version of this. This is very accessible, very affordable. It's about $20 or even less if you get this smaller size. I have it in my Amazon storefront, but this is just a beginner-friendly fragrance with a similar scent profile to a lot of other perfumes that I now prefer over this one. But if you want something super affordable, you can't really go wrong with this fragrance, and a little bit goes a long way, which is why I personally would recommend getting the smaller bottle, but that's just my personal preference. I have no regrets having the smaller size. It's interesting comparing these two fragrances in particular, San Noir and Ragba, because Ragba is most certainly the sweeter fragrance. San Noir is more smoky, more incense-like, despite having an apple note here. So these fragrances, very interesting, very different, but they both feature the note of oud, along with what I think is cinnamon. The next fragrance is by Bon Parfumeur. This is 401. It was gifted to me by the brand, and shout out to Noelle here on YouTube for bringing this fragrance to my attention. But this is a really interesting take on a spicy, woody fragrance with a bit of cinnamon. There's some plum here. It's a very fruity scent, and it's also a little bit aromatic as well. I'm going to read out the notes because this is a bit of a more complex scent. So it has top notes of incense, resins, cypress, and bergamot, middle notes of plum, cedar, cinnamon, and patchouli, and then base notes of vanilla, labdanum, sandalwood, and musk. So this comes off as a sweet and fruity fragrance, but with a really woody backbone and a slight hint of a sharper cinnamon. This to me isn't a soft cinnamon, it's a slightly sharp cinnamon, but it's not overpowering. So I would say this is more of a cold weather scent. But I really like the plum here. I feel like the plum is a beautiful addition to the cinnamon. I would say this is a unisex fragrance. It's more of like a fruity unisex scent. I worn this a little bit, and this is definitely a fragrance that is more moderate in terms of performance, but it's a cozy scent, and it's interesting smelling a fragrance that has a spicy cinnamon to it, but also leans a little bit fruity and woody. So as you can probably tell with a lot of the fragrances in this video, they're not fruity, but this one is. And I really do like it. The plum gives it like a little bit of a sweetness, but it's not sugary, so it's an interesting fragrance, and I also like the aromatic touches in here. So I consider this to be a unisex perfume. So 401 by Bon Parfumeur. This one is a really nice, affordable niche scent if you are interested in experimenting with cinnamon. The next fragrance I want to share with you is one I've waxed poetic about time and time and time again. This is Sugar Leather by Unwi Nomad, and I am putting this fragrance last because I have talked about this perfume so many times. It's a little bit much, but I always find myself referencing this fragrance because it's so versatile and it's just the ideal soft cinnamon perfume. I just love it. And yeah, I find myself reaching for this time and time again. It's like a sweet, suede-like leather perfume with cinnamon, resins, sugar. It has like it's so beautiful. It has a quality to it that just draws everyone in. I've gotten compliments on this one more times than I can count at this point. It's my most complimented perfume right now. So yes, Sugar Leather. So when I first got this scent, to me, it had a not very similar, but slightly similar kind of composition to Ragba, but I consider Sugar Leather to be a very elevated version. So Ragba is, after smelling Sugar Leather, is a little bit rougher. Sugar Leather to me is very smooth. It's very smooth, it's velvety, it's suede-like. So that's why I actually stopped wearing Ragba, because now I just reach for Sugar Leather over this. So it just goes to show that yes, you have notes all across the board that are used in fragrances at different price points, but sometimes if you're paying a certain amount for a fragrance, you're going to get a very different experience. Not even to say that this one is unattainable. This is actually a very affordable niche brand. They also have decants and travel sizes available for extremely fair prices. That's why I really love Unwin Mud so much. I have a few bottles from them already, and I absolutely love their scents. But it just goes to show that as you develop your nose, your taste in fragrances changes. So while I've loved Ragba for a very long time, and it was kind of like my spicy go-to scent, now I just go for Sugar Leather. So yeah, Sugar Leather, and the ultimate cinnamon sweet perfume, but not too much. I literally just sent the link to purchase this to a friend literally just yesterday because he was obsessed with it. So yeah, Sugar Leather, standout fragrance. I love it. So those were the 5 cinnamon fragrances I wanted to share with you today in this video. I hope you enjoyed this one and found it interesting. I do plan on doing more note-focused videos like this in the future. I have a rose one coming up, and I'm also just trying to look through my collection and introduce new scents into my collection. So I'm definitely really excited about creating more and more content for you. But thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.